kind of talk us through, this bye week. You're coming off a big win. Like, what does that win do? Just kind of, in a big win against West Virginia, and then you go into a bye week. How much of that had helped the confidence kind of going into this final stretch of the season?
Yeah, a win's a win. We're excited about that. Absolutely loved it. That was a fun game. It was fun doing that in our stadium and having a lot of, big explosive plays and everything. So a lot of fun. Bye week was fun. Definitely very locked in and ready to go. Going down to Baylor, it's an exciting thing. I've been there before, and it's a good crowd, good excitement. You're in Waco, so super excited for this week.
You mentioned you've been in Baylor before. How much does that knowledge help you? How much have you shared that with some of your other special teams, teammates about what you're going to see, maybe what they're going to feel? Have they been picking your brain a little bit about what the situation's going to be like?
Yeah, my personal opinion, I feel like most away games are all about like the same. You're going to get a lot of atmosphere. You're going to have a lot of crowd noise and all that. I think most of the time you prepare pretty much the exact same. But it has been fun kind of sharing, my experience there. And, Waco, it's Waco, so it's good. Yeah, nothing too much. I've talked to all the guys. Both my freshman specialists are both from Texas. So I've been able to kind of talk with them, and they love it. They're more excited about going back home than anybody. So I'm excited for those guys.
Dalton, just kind of reflecting on this season, how is this opportunity for you, then coming to UCF and winning the long snapper job and able to contribute to the team?
I love it. I have a lot of friends I talk to all the time and family, and they always ask me, like, oh, how is it like playing in Florida? How's UCF? And I'm like, I love it. Like, UCF is so much fun. It's such a great school to represent and play for. I obviously love, Coach Almar. He's done a great job with me, and Coach Hargan. Both those guys are, a big part of why I feel like there's been a lot of success for the specialists and the special teams. The scheme's great. I love it. It's nice being able to block and, snap and block and cover and everything. So I love it. It's a great scheme to be part of. I love everything about it, honestly.
Punt return coverage was kind of an issue for UCF the last couple of years. You guys have really not allowed much in that area. What's worked? Like, whether it's scheme or whether it's personnel, what's worked as far as limiting the danger chances against you?
Yeah, it's a full, punt team coverage, everything. Everything from, the snap, the punt, the protection, the guys hustling down and noticing if it's a hold up or if they're trying to block in the pressures and getting down there. Anthony's done a great job of basically giving us enough hang time and distance and everything so that we can get down there. He also does a great job with, like, his location. Every time he kicks it, I'm never worried where the ball's going. He gives all of us a lot of confidence to run down there, that if it's supposed to go to the right, it's going to the right. And also doing a great job with all of our pin punts and everything. So all that's been pretty fun to be able to have him as a great punter, be able to run down there.
Looking down the stretch of the schedule, potential for 3 top 25 games, where would you say the team mentality is right now?
Yeah, one game at a time mentality for sure. We're excited. We're excited to go down to Baylor. From my personal perspective, I feel like every game we've played has been winnable. And I think every game that we're going to play is going to be winnable. And so that's just kind of the mentality we have, is every game, one at a time, take it on and get excited and hopefully keep pushing forward. A lot of great Big 12 teams this year, and so it's fun to be one of them.
You mentioned during media day that this is a completely new special teams group. How's it been being able to set like a completely new culture or something that you mentioned also during media day, and just how's it been how's the culture been here at UCF since getting here in special teams?
Yeah, that's a funny one, because when we first came in, we didn't know each other, we didn't know our coach, we didn't know like our scheme, everything. So it was pretty crazy for all of us becoming in May. But Coach Almar, has a lot of years of experience, and so he kind of knew what he wanted to do and how we wanted to push that culture. We also have a lot of veterans with, Noe, Anthony, even Mason coming from the MLB, bringing a lot of leadership and a lot of culture that we wanted to put just as much as Coach Almar would put. So it's been a lot of fun being able to be in an older group that we pushed our own culture that we wanted to. And it's also been great being able to have a team, led by Coach Frost, that's been able to put a positive culture. I love all my teammates, and it's so much fun. Like, all of us hang out outside of football, all of us do things out of football, which I think is rare in a lot of occasions of teams when, there's a lot of push on look at me mentality. And our team, I feel like, is very much like everybody's welcome to do everything. We'll do dinners, activities, fun stuff that we as players put together. And so it's a lot of fun for a team to play for and to continually get that chemistry.
What's it been like working with Noe Morales, and what's it like just kind of seeing how clutch he's been, especially on these long field goals?
Noe's a stud. Noe's a big part of why we've had a lot of success in the kicking game. He is a veteran. I mean, his leg can outkick any kicker in the country. He does it all the time. I've seen him kick 70-yarders, in practice. He has that capability, but he's very accurate. That's the thing. So it's a lot of fun for me when I snap the football, and I'm not worried about, are we going to get points or whatever. It's every time we get on there, we're expecting it. I mean, that's why I think he's 11 for 12 right now, just killing it. Very reliable, and also having a lot of deep 50-yarders. He's an NFL type of kicker, and so it's fun to be able to be around him.
The bye week coming, just a little bit past the midway point of the season. You mentioned how good the Big 12 is and how difficult the schedule, how the opportunity the schedule coming down. How do you guys feel like you are in achieving the goals that you want to achieve this season and what's in front of you this year?
Yeah. Kind of similar to before, but we're just excited one game at a time. Obviously, you want to win every game that we have. We have a pretty tough end of the schedule, but I think that we're capable of everything. I think our best football is yet to be played. I mean, if you come watch practice and everything, you see how good of a team we are. And it's just putting it all together all the time. Even with our film, we've had great offensive, defensive, special teams plays. Our coach have said it, but super excited to keep going and pushing it. And honestly, the best competition is when we play the best. So we'll be seeing that the rest of the year.
What has Coach Lamar meant to you during this process and the impact he's had on you?
I love playing for him. You think about all like the different situations and things that you have when, as a long snapper, as a player, your relationship with the coach. He is the coach that will come down harder on you, get, up in your face, tell you got to do this. He's holding you accountable. That's out of love. And then he's also the coach where you finish practice and he's, hey, come hang out, grab a little candy bar and chitter chat with me. So it's nice having a coach that I can trust, that I know is going to bring the best out of me, but also, be able to be my friend. So I'm really appreciative of Coach Almore and his example to me, and also the rest of the players. I know that our freshmen have improved a lot since they first came in, and I think a lot of it has to do with how good of our coaching is. And also our special teams overall has been getting, even better and better as everybody's gained a lot of trust in Coach Almore. So it's been awesome.
I kind of want to follow up. What's been the most surprising thing that you've learned about him throughout your time here?
He has a lot of good stories. It's fun. You sit there in the meeting room, you do the thing. He can sit and talk and share with you all his things, and kind of, gets excited about. We like hearing his stories. I've been impressed with his attention to detail. You think about all the details. I don't want to go too far in our scheme, but like each individual player's alignment is like adjusting to however we're going to take him down. I've never seen a look ever that we haven't seen before. Practice, he has had so much experience with it. We see everything in practice that we're ever going to get. It's shown on film. I think, you brought up coverage, you brought up blocking and protection. He is so detailed with each of our practices that by the time we get to the game, we feel very prepared to take it on, thanks to him. So I enjoy that part of him.
While your focus is on your own team and on Baylor this week, are you keeping an eye on BYU, particularly during the bye week?
I'm good friends with all the guys on the team, so I love watching them. I love seeing all my guys, play. I'm still good friends with all of them. So, of course, I watch them, and I have a lot of excitement for them. And, when I am watching their games, of course, I'm going to be, you hate to scout ahead, but you just like seeing them, and you're like, oh, yeah, I can't wait for this, But obviously, it's, one game at a time mentality, and when we get there, it'll be awesome. I will be excited to get down there in Lavelle Edwards Stadium and play again and be on the opposite side. And really enjoy that atmosphere.
I was going to ask you, how much does it ramp up, potentially given potentially what that game could mean for your team and potentially for their team as well?
Yeah, that's one fun thing about it is I think the trajectory that we have going on at UCF is going great. I think their trajectory at BYU is going great. So it'll be fun at the end of the game to be able to have a big push and see at that point in the season where we're at.
Talk to me about the culture that's been built here since you got here. How do you think it's standing halfway through the season?
I think it's improved a lot more. However, I think from the beginning, it was all of the desires of the coaching staff, what they wanted, all the players' desires of what we wanted. it's finally hitting, if that makes sense. It's kind of like you're sitting there and you're preparing, you know what you want to do, but it takes a little bit for all the buy-in, and I think that everybody's truly starting to understand their roles and getting better. You brought in a lot of new guys and a lot of new teams and everything, and it's been good to see everybody come together and do what they want to do for the team and improve. I love it. I think Coach Frost does a great job as well. He's very positive, but he's also very intense and detailed as well, where you can trust him. And he's also, he is very honest with everything that goes on and how he sees it. And so you can trust his perspective on it, which is really good.
Along those lines, Coach Frost has talked about in the past about a lot of the success that he's had has been with player-led teams, players willing to do the extra step, to kind of be successful. Have you felt that your group has been able to do that? You've seen guys maybe step up and take ownership of the team more so away from the coaching staff itself, just to kind of make it their own?
Yeah, without a doubt. I think each of our captains that we've had each week have done a great job, but you've seen each of those guys perform that during workouts in the summer. You've seen that beforehand. If you watch our practice, as soon as we finish it, all the coaches leave. There's still guys that are out there working on things that they didn't feel like they got right. You're in the locker room, you're talking, and guys are going over the film that they just saw and, communicating about those. You also, we get done, we go do our lifts and everything. It's easy to just, kind of just ease up. Oh, it's just something quick. And you see guys holding each other accountable. I think there's a very healthy relationship between being friends with everybody while still pushing them to bring the best out of them. And that's one thing that you can see in leadership more than just the top roles. It's throughout the entire team, which has been impressive to me,
Your father and your brother played at BYU. I'm sure there's other family connections too,
Yeah,
right?
yep.
So, I know you're focused on Baylor, but what do you think that'll be like just going back to Provo and walking in that stadium and not having BYU on your chest? And how are your family, what are the rooting interests going to be for that game?
It'll be for me. It's funny. I have a lot of extended family. I probably have close to 80 extended family. Both my mom and dad have a lot of family. However, when we go there, I'm probably going to get 60, 70 tickets and fill them up in the BYU corner where they get the visitor section, and they're all going to be wearing black and gold, It'll be awesome. It's a lot to play for. It's one game that when we do get there, obviously we take every game serious, and it's going to be the exact same preparation for it, but that's one that I do want to walk away with and really get a nice upset there in Lavelle. And I really enjoyed playing there. I think they have a great fourth quarter kind of celebration. I don't know what you call it, but fourth quarter, they get bumping, it gets super loud, it gets rowdy, a lot of intimidation. I'm excited to kind of be on the other side of it and shut that down and have a lot of fun. So I'm excited for all of our teammates to be able to be there and experience the warm weather over there.
Yeah. Now, your BYU bio said you're an avid pickleballer,
Oh, yeah.
pickleball player, and bowler.
Yeah.
So have you continued that at UCF? Have you found any teammates to play pickleball or go bowl with?
I hate to say how much I enjoy that and not being able to do it as much as I want to. Being down here, I feel like in the summertime, I was adjusting a little bit of the heat. So as much as I enjoy pickleball, I wasn't, avid to go spend my, 2 to 3 hours off in the heat. So I didn't do as much pickleball. I have enjoyed the bowling. I had a nice little NIL situation where I got a little free bowling and all that. So I'd like to try to get another one over here. I need to go bowling with more guys down there and kind of have a little fun with it. But yeah, I love bowling, man. It's one of those times you get done with practice, you get everything, and it's not demanding on your body. You just go out there and you just grab a little water and you just throw the ball, and it's just a good time and being with the guys. I know Rockland Kelly's been talking a lot of game with his bowling ability, so I'm probably going to have to bring him out once we get done. So yeah, it'll be good.
Yeah, kind of similarly along those lines, not from the area, so I just wanted to see, being in Orlando, there's a bunch of activities. What's been your favorite since you've gotten here?
Okay, I love Universal Studios. I love going to the rides. Noah, my freshman kicker, he got a season pass as well with me. So we've been able to go a lot. Obviously during the season you don't really have time, but before the season started or during the bye week I was able to go once. I actually went to Halloween Horror Nights. That was pretty cool. It's fun for me where I didn't grow up with any sort of theme parks or anything like that, and so being able to have an opportunity where it's 20 minutes away, you go take a nice little drive out there and just enjoy a couple of the roller coasters. I like a good butterbeer. those are good. Those are good. So I actually just tried the butterbeer ice cream for the first time. I thought that was just as good, so that was cool.
Dalton, UCF has a history of long snappers in the NFL. Is that kind of on your mind, and how do you evaluate your performance so far this season?
Yeah, I love the fact that Alex Ward, he's a total stud. He's reached out to me and just texted me, hey, if you need anything, I got you. If you need me to look over anything, help with your footwork and all that, like, he's done a great job being that alumni that's looking out for the guys that are just coming up and working and everything. So it's been nice to be able to have that and bring that reputation. He's been doing a great job, so it's fun to be able to kind of look at his film and watch him and know, like, oh, I played for the same team that he played for. And so that's been awesome. I think it's pretty cool. I love it. Long snapping is such like a little niche thing, and so it's cool when you run into other long snappers and you know other long snappers, and especially those that you represent the same school. Similar to, you asked about my brother playing at BYU. That was one of the main reasons why I went to BYU, was to have that experience with him and play with somebody that you care about, and be able to take after him when he left was super cool. So yeah, I loved it.
All set? Last one?
Yeah. I cover parks as well, so I want to know, what was your favorite ride and what was your favorite Halloween Horror Nights house?
Okay. Yeah. My favorite ride. Well, okay, this is a sensitive topic. So the Rip It Rocket or whatever it's called, it just got taken down. That was my favorite one. So it's a little, I'm a little hurt there. However, the Velocicoaster's got to be the best ride I've ever been a part of. I've never gone that fast. And part about like the Rip It roller coaster one, as a kid, I went there one time and I was a little nervous and I couldn't do the ride. I was chill. I backed out of it. So now it's like, okay, you're taking that fear and you're energizing it now. So that's why I like it. Halloween Horror Nights, I went to, what was it? I think it was Jason's. Yeah, that one scared me. Also the Dolls one, I don't think it was like the most scary pop out one, but it really freaked me out. That was when I was just caught off guard. It was creepy. Great time though. Great time. Appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Thanks, Dalton. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Thanks. Good stuff.
What's your average of opening there?
Okay.
What a tight end or big wide receiver. So watching some tape now, what stands out about what makes Michael Trigg a challenge to cover?
Yeah, I mean, you wish the film didn't match the production. You wish you could then, spot holes in it and say, oh, there's, some discrepancy and it's not as real as it appears, type of thing. But unfortunately, in this case, it's exactly as you described it. It's a matchup that makes it very, very difficult to, from a size standpoint, he'll use that. From an athletic standpoint, he uses that. So you can't just dismiss one or just circle one attribute that way. And then the ability too. Then when he does make the catch is a tough guy to bring down, and that's another thing that stands out. Same thing when you haven't studied the team yet. You kind of start with the stats and you see the numbers, and then you look at the yards after catch and some of that. Not just in his case, but across the board they do a nice job that way. But no, there's unfortunately just with what they do and the amount of explosive guys they have, is very difficult to say, well, that's the one guy you got to cover. And so, you get a chance, as they do a great job of getting guys singled up, and he does a great job coming down with it and makes some highlight plays. And so, no, it's going to be a difficult challenge in terms of man or zone, and putting the right bodies on the bodies and then rallying the troops if and when he does catch it.
Coach, with your unit not on the field this week, did you get a chance to study about Baylor a little bit when they went to play since this past weekend?
Yeah, we did, and that's you say it's an advantage, and obviously in the end by midday Sunday they're studying us just like we did them, type of thing. But no, you watch it and you're trying to find commonalities, maybe some of the things that we did, or some of the things that if they've had success on something, on a particular situation in the game or coverage and that okay, well, does that fit something we do, or is it something that we're willing to do or willing to install? And so you do that with all opponents. But no, of all the games you can watch on Saturday, that's the one that I think they came on at 4:00, and I think every single one was kind of glued to that, and just anxious to, especially coming off a bye week, because you feel like you've watched so much of the tape, and you watch it. Sometimes you kind of nerd out on some new video type of thing.
Yeah, I was going to say this, following up with that, because Cincinnati ended up limiting Baylor's quarterback Sawyer Robinson to his lowest passing yard so far this season. So, what did you notice about their secondary and defensive effort that you can kind of notice that?
Yeah, I mean, full credit goes to Cincinnati. I thought they played very well. I mean, there's probably some missed opportunities if you're asking Baylor. As they look back on the video and some of those things. And again, credit goes to Cincinnati. I thought they tackled very well. And that's one of those things too that you can get maybe too overly focused on saying, okay, that's not them catch of football, and the numbers just suggest that that's not necessarily going to be available to you. But it's a game of touchdowns, not first downs, and put them in a situation where you can, we say, I've mentioned in here a number of times, knock it down and move on, and don't let one play in the pass game turn into 2, 3, and then stack plays that way. And so I thought Cincinnati did a real nice job that way.
Obviously, there's still 5 games left, and it's still kind of one game at a time. But with the bye week coming just past the point of the season, where do you feel your defense has grown the most and has you excited for this finishing kick of the season?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, just maybe because it was the bye week, and yes, you're talking opponent, but you're also a little bit in the way of just running calls against plays, and there's a little bit less of the specifics of that opponent, right? So partly because you don't want it to get stale as you get into game week, and maybe just allowed a little bit. And I'm not very good at it, but a little bit of kind of standing back and watching and hearing the guys communicate. And then we go against the offense, coupled with some of the things with scouts, and seeing them problem solve, in real time, and less in the way of coaches' interactions. And sometimes you got to discipline yourself as a coach because you want to say something, and but in reality, you're not on the grass with them over the course of a game. And one of my chief complaints has been at times, and I've alerted the guys to this, like if this feels like a spring ball practice, if you are needing a coaching point or a reminder on every single thing based on that formation versus this call, it's very difficult to play good defense. And to your point, especially this far into the season. And so I've been pleased with that, and it showed up on game days. I think problem solving has been one of the things that's allowed us to compete and play quality defense at times. And but that during the bye week, you just kind of observe a little bit, and they're saying the right things to each other and handling some things, and that's going to it has to continue, and certainly this weekend included.
We talked with Coach Frost a little bit yesterday about the evolving coach carousel going on. Tell me how it's been personally. Coach Frost said one bad season doesn't define you. Tell me a little bit personally what it's been to be here and build a defense that's been playing so elite.
Well, specific to this season, I mean, the opportunity to get on the grass with these guys, and every coach is different. I can obviously just speak for myself, but you romanticize a little bit what coaching is. That's why we all got into it, or the bulk of us, I think. I don't think I'm unique that way, but 23 years ago, the idea of being a college football coach, and the thought of being that started well before, I got out of college. It's just the idea of building a program is something that it is, I don't know if it's harder to do or easier to do or whatever, timelines and everything else, but I'll stay away from that. But there's something about that. And so, we forget sometimes that it's year one, but there's something about getting a group of guys together in January and let's see what we can get done, with them over the course of a calendar year, and then obviously in the hopes that you get opportunities to do it past that single year. But midway through the season, they start feeling like your guys and all that stuff. And so that's kind of where we find ourselves. And then we got 5 weeks left, and I think I mentioned in here. Now you got some shared experiences like that, and I don't know. There's reasons you coach, and one of that is that you can get something done with a group of guys that if you weren't in that room, they wouldn't be as successful. They don't need us. They play the game, we don't. But anyway, you constantly reminded of that as you go through the season.
Dave Aranda obviously came up as a defensive coordinator. I'm just curious, did your paths ever cross, or do you know him at all?
I don't know him well. We've met. Yes, our paths have crossed over the years, and I got a lot of respect for him, what he does, his ability to build defense, get guys to play hard, and just it's one of those films wherever he's been. We had the availability to crossover film when they're in conference, but even out of conference, it's one I always watch, and that's just from a respect standpoint. What he's doing and how he can attack teams and everything else, and so he does a tremendous job.
Jamin Bellamy's been such a standout corner for you guys this year. What has he done to kind of step up and be so reliable?
Yeah, he's scrappy. You can tell, a guy that's played football. I mean, that's the one thing over, and maybe basketball has been a little bit more of an example because they kind of dealt with transfers maybe a little bit more than we have, or maybe it's just an easier study because there's 12 of them and then play, everything else. But the older guys, there's something about guys that have been in the fire, and it doesn't mean they've been successful, 100% of the time, but that's part of it. They've have some experience behind them and know what works, know what doesn't work, and kind of can draw from some of those things. And so he's one of those guys that you're not confused as to his experience level. He gets it. He's played well for us. We need him to continue to, and thrilled that we have him.
Baylor's been a team that's fallen into some holes and often played some of its best football in comeback fashion. So, what's the challenge of facing a team that, even when they're 14 down or something like that, if things are going well for you, that they can pop off and put together consecutive touchdown drives like that in a heartbeat?
Yeah, and I think that's valid. That's accurate. I think it's, and Coach Spavital does a guy I've ran into over the years that does a great job offensively, and you don't say air raid as much, and I'd say that in a positive way. They run the football a lot more than Coach Leach ever did, type of thing, but they don't have to change, and there's an advantage to that offensively. Because what you don't see, okay, well now the score is this, so then let's scrap this part of the playbook, and then we'll start doing new stuff or stop running the football. They're going to run the football selectively when they get light boxes and some situational scenarios. And from a pass game standpoint, it's not like, all right, that's get our third down our 2-minute package that we've. Is small, something we only do a small portion of the time that now we need to do because we're down a couple scores. And so they just keep doing what they're doing. So, the scoreboard for them is not something that, kind of affects how they play, which is really critical for us, that it's the exact same way on any side of this deal, that we got to make sure that there's respect, that if, they have success, then they can fully continue down that path to continue to have success until we can break any momentum. And then conversely, if you got some momentum, you got to respect the fact that they're not changing, and they're kind of built for it.
You, Timor? The defensive line, the strong part of the defense this year, has taken some blows with injuries to Horace and injuries to Sincere. What kind of impact does that have on you guys as a line? What's the confidence in the next man up?
Yeah, and it thins you out. I mean, it obviously puts more pressure on the guys that are playing, and obviously creates some opportunities for some other guys that maybe wouldn't have as many reps that way. And Coach Kmart does a great job on them, Coach Dawson, and so full trust in those guys to prepare them, to put them in a situation to be successful. But no, when you say next man up, sometimes it's same man up is just same man, more volume, and they got to be prepared to understand their Saturdays are a little bit different. Some guys are good players if they play 20 snaps. Well, now if that number goes up, can they train a certain way over the course of the work week to put themselves in a situation that they can be successful on Saturdays, based on new roles and everything else. And so that's a week by week thing. If you had some production 2 weeks ago, then you obviously don't get credit for it in this coming week. But it's obviously part of our evaluation in terms of who we put out there and how long we can keep them out there.
Coaches talk a lot about player-led teams helping to have success. Have you been able to see that with this group? I know it's a young group, a lot of newcomers coming in. You're halfway through the season. Have you seen more of a player stepping up, maybe taking more of a bigger role, thinking kind of maybe going back to the practice fields and doing things like that when you guys aren't around?
No, you do, and a couple guys to highlight. Lewis Carter's soft spoken is not the right phrase, but maybe as a coach you kind of sometimes feel quiet, but when he speaks, everybody hears him and listens, and Phil Dunn at times in the secondary as well. And there's certainly other Nigel Kelly, when he talks, guys listen. And sometimes it's not talking, it's making sure they're saying the right things. And as best you can, you obviously want to empower them and kind of lead them in a certain direction from a coaching standpoint. But the thing we found out, or at least I think again, my opinion, just in this new wave, some of it has been us trying to do too much as coaches, because you look at it through the lens of it's everything sandwiched, at the best, you're trying not to microwave a football program. You're trying to, but at the same token, you're trying to obviously get results right now. And so, if you're not careful, it becomes real controlling and real coach centric. And maybe at times, if I'm being honest, it can be suffocating to the guys because here comes Coach Grinch or one of the coaches constantly. And so I think the thing we found out is got to be a little bit more organic at times. Like you can force it. By and large, forced leadership doesn't work. But part of that too is having the discipline as a coach to give them room, as opposed to being the first one. You know, play happens or a poor drive or something like that. And again, everything in us is, you know, we need to attack the problem or we're going to fix the issue. And sometimes taking a breath as a coach and giving room for the guys to maybe speak up and do something like that. And so you're seeing it at times. And then again, mentioned Lewis is one of those guys. And it's one thing in the practice field, it's another thing during the course of the game, you know. And so they've done a nice job on the sideline that way, handling some adverse scenarios and keep fighting in those things.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.
We got multiple microphones. Let's go. What's going on, guys?
So Coach, having a bye week at this point of the season when you've got a lot of games under your belt, what does that allow you to do? Are you able to self-scout maybe a little bit more, just kind of outline how the bye week benefited you at this point in time?
Yeah, for sure. Got a chance to take a look at what we put on tape so far the rest of the season. Of course, our opponents are doing that, so just going back and just seeing what's been working, the things that we need to continue to get better at. Obviously, it's good to have the time to be able to do that. But, you know, we had some good bye-week practices, and we're just really trying to get back to the basics, really clean up some things, kind of take a look at our standards and just how we operate, which we did a really good job of that leading into the West Virginia game, so a lot of carryover into the bye week.
Coach, you look at the quarterback situation, you've had so much guys in and out, guys being banged up and hurt. How much does it nice to have a little consistency with Taven being back again after West Virginia, able to have be able to go into this game and maybe get some other guys healthy where you can kind of get that room maybe stabilized a little bit?
Yeah, Tay is a great example of a handful of other guys as well that we're getting back and getting healthier. And a lot of it isn't guys that have been quote-unquote injured. It's guys that have been available but have been dinged up. So you get to this point in the season, it's nice to have the opportunity to get a little bit of wear and tear off their legs, get some time to get recentered mentally, and then for sure it's good to get the continuity going with a quarterback that's playing pretty good football in practice and then obviously doing it in the game last week against West Virginia.
We just got done speaking with Coach Grinch, who's taken some blows on the defensive line that they've lost Sincere and Horace. Now, kind of for the running back room, we're going to be without Stacy and going to be without Tavian. He mentioned it's not going to be next man up mentality, it's more same man up, more volume. Is that kind of similar mindset going to apply for this running back room now that Miles and Jaden maybe take more of a workload?
Yeah, I think Coach Frost hit it right on the head then. Those guys, we've done our best at this point in the season to make sure that we have guys fresh for the fourth quarter when you need them. And, you know, Stacy was a huge part of the relief package, if you will, as he's growing and getting better every day. It's just a bummer that we're going to lose him for some time. With that being said, there's always got to be a next man up mentality if we get to that, but really right now the reps just get reallocated around between the two backs that have been carrying it.
Yeah, Chris Dahmer can't step up and make a couple of touchdown catches on
Yeah, he
fourth
did.
down.
Yeah.
So how's his role kind of expanding both in the slot and on the perimeter, and how much do you think he can help you in these last 5 games?
Yeah, it's just funny how it works sometimes where the ball finds you, and it just so happened there's a guy that's been doing everything right in practice and making those plays in practice, and we've been seeing it for multiple weeks, you know, and then just sometimes it's the luck of the draw and sometimes it's by design, but he made the plays when he needed to make the plays. So in regards to how his role changes and packages changes, yeah, you keep it in mind when he was able to make the play when his team needed him to do it. So yeah, TBD. We'll see on Saturday what it looks like for CD. But he's a huge part of what we're trying to do.
How important was a game like West Virginia to really get your offense going? Because we know we've seen some those earlier on, and so how big was it to kind of get some momentum going in that West Virginia game, and how does that help you now go into Baylor?
Yeah, when you have success like that, particularly the explosive plays, which we've been preaching, you know, that helps confidence a ton. It makes just everyday life a lot easier when the confidence is there. It makes the next week of practice feel a lot better because the confidence is building. So that helps you get in a groove. It's funny, we talked about this as an offensive unit. We had some issues with these like 18-play drives that equal almost no points, sometimes a field goal, sometimes not scoring touchdowns. And I believe we had a 93-yard touchdown drive, maybe a 97-yard touchdown drive. Quote me, or forgive me if I'm off on a couple. This was a couple weeks ago, and then for sure an 85-yard touchdown drive. Those weren't 20-play drives. Those were a handful of chunk plays and then the explosive play. So those explosive plays help confidence so much, and it makes it a whole lot easier when you're designing plays. You don't have to use 20 play calls up in one series. So good for the momentum moving forward, 100%, and just good for the confidence overall.
With the bye week coming just past the midpoint of the season, how much of the bye week did you use to kind of do some self-evaluation, and where do you feel like this offense has grown the most as you get ready for the kind of final game of the season?
Yeah, you get to this point in the season and you find out, okay, what are the core schemes, whether it's the pass or the run game, that have been working? What can our guys do well? And so we're able to identify a couple things that, okay, we know that we can execute these things for sure in the critical moment. But you also get to this point in the season and you have a Rolodex of things that maybe you've installed along the way. And so what we want to make sure is like, okay, what complements this scheme with the other? What complements the run with the pass? So that's really where we lean into moving forward, is making sure that we're running an offense week in and week out that complements each other.
Short yardage was something that you wanted to emphasize going into this bye week. Tell me how you feel about the progress being made in that in practice.
Yeah, the tough thing about short yardage is you don't necessarily get a ton of reps in practice of just blood and guts, and that's really what it comes down to. So it's a mindset piece and then the small details. So, yeah, we spent some time on that. That falls right into the bucket of the self-evaluation, the self-scout. All right, what are the core runs that we need to be in those critical situations, and just taking a look at the personnel that's out there for those moments. So, yeah, it was good to be able to have some time and an opportunity to really kind of hash those things out as a staff to really put our guys in a position to be more successful.
You guys, over the next 5 games, remaining 5 games, have 3 games against possible top 25 teams. What do you guys need to do to finish strong, to make sure there's a possibility maybe you get to be bowl eligible, maybe kind of reach another goal on your list? What do you guys need to do to maybe accomplish that?
Well, it starts with being the most excited team to play on Saturday. I think that's a huge piece of what it is this point in the season, because there's a lot of wear and tear. And listen, it's a lot easier coming off the bye week, right? When you got some rest and relaxation, I get that. So we have to understand this is really, it's a 5-week season left over. We got 5 games left that's guaranteed on our schedule, and we'd like to earn another one. But it really starts with being the most excited team to play on Saturdays, and then go figure the way to do that is be the most excited team to play on Tuesday practice, Wednesday practice, and put it all together. So we've really leaned into our process. One, that's really important too, just understanding, okay, we've been doing this for a long time now. What do Tuesdays usually look like? What do Wednesdays look like? All right, so we got firm feet on what we're trying to get done in relationship to the process of teaching it and coaching it and having a routine. But now we just need to be able to go do it and be the most excited team to play.
Owen Spell got his most extended time filling in for Paul Rubel at left tackle. How would you evaluate his performance?
Yeah, very solid. Proud of him. He's a guy that the next man up mentality. Proud of him, the effort that he puts forth. I mean, the dude's a grinder. So really happy that he had some success. Now, listen, we're not perfect. There's nobody that's perfect. And opportunity to get to play that many snaps, of course you're going to go back and, okay, here's a lot of things that I can get cleaned up. But just really proud of how he attacks. I mean, he's been doing it since he got here. So, yeah, proud of him, and he did a really nice job, and looking forward to him to have continued success.
What are you seeing from Baylor's defense on tape, and how do you try to carry over those explosive plays and take advantage of some opportunities they may give you?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, Baylor does a really good job of limiting the explosive plays. For example, a pretty explosive offense. Cincinnati played them last week, and I think I counted only 3 real explosive plays. And what Cincinnati was able to do is be pretty meticulous, not hurt themselves, and put some drives together. So for us, we need to be able to avoid the negatives. And one thing that Baylor does a nice job of is each week there's going to be a specific plan for us. So there's going to be some unscouted looks. So we spend a lot of time talking about, okay, here's what we're expecting, but we need to be able to react to almost everything. Now, at this point in the season, when we got this many games under our belt, we've seen a lot of stuff. And we see a lot of stuff from Coach Grinch and our defense every day in practice. So now we just need to get out there and go execute, no matter what the look is going to be from the defense. But they do a really nice job. They're going to mix up the pictures. They got good players. They're one of the more athletic teams that we've played against. So, yeah, we got a challenge. They're a lot better than their statistical data shows. This is an athletic defense, and our guys are not going to be in any way afraid of that. There's going to be no fear of failure, and we're going to go attack. But I think our guys are really leaning into the confidence that they got from having some success. And then the cool thing is when you win before bye week, that almost counts as 2 because it's good vibes for 2 weeks. And you know what happens when you win? I mean, the sky's bluer, food tastes better. All things are a lot nicer and easier. So we need to use that as a positive into momentum to go take care of business on the road.
Kind of mentioned using the bye week as to take momentum and take confidence going in. Using the bye week kind of as like a natural midpoint in the season. Where have you seen this offense grow the most? What are you most pleased with?
Like through the bye week or just in general?
In general throughout the season.
What's surprising to me is when you go back and look, and we're constantly hunting for explosive plays. You go back and look, and we've actually been pretty good in that area. Just looking at it from a statistical standpoint, and you got to understand, like, stats are for losers. The only real stat that matters is winning, right? But you can see that. I mean, we've made explosive plays when we've needed to, and then the areas that we've fallen short, it's because of the lack of explosive plays. So we really just have leaned into that as a staff, and really trying to find more creative ways to get the guys that are making those plays to get them the football. And sometimes it's not going to work out that way. You're going to get a different picture from the defense. It's going to take something away. But then there's always got to be a progression in the pass game. There's always got to be another answer in the run game, and getting those other guys to step up and see if we can get some other guys to step forward as we move forward for the rest of the season.
Coaches talk a lot about player-led teams that really can have success on the field. Has you noticed with this group, you've seen that emerge a lot more with players taking ownership of this team and trying to continue to move forward with it halfway through the season?
Yeah, I'm glad that you said that, because going into the West Virginia week, we talked about the standards. And we're talking about standards for everything. Just how we get in and out of the huddle. How do we come off the sideline? How we practice? What's the execution standard? What are the standards like when we're putting the game plan together when we're in meetings? And we did talk to our guys about, okay, it's not the coaches that are going to get this done. We need you guys to do it. We need to spend more time as a staff just coaching the detail of the scheme, and the players, you guys can handle the standard. And I think our guys have really leaned into that. So it's not a surprise to me that when we took the field against West Virginia 2 weeks ago that there was a different look in their eye. So exciting to see. A lot of times that's easy to do in home games and homecoming. We need to get that to apply on the road. And that's what mature teams do. They find ways to win on the road when it's a hostile environment. So that's really where our focus is right now. What do we got to do for the rest of the week to put this plan together? And then let's go do it. And doing it on the road is going to take some maturity.
Just a couple more.
Coach, what have you noticed about the development of the tight end group over the course of this season up to this point? Where have they kind of really improved for you?
Well, I mean, the cool thing about our group is each one of those guys, as I've mentioned before, has different traits that make them special in different areas. What we've seen over the course of however many games that we've played now is some of those truths come to light in relationship to what guys are what they're good at. And the other cool thing is we're starting to get these guys to be healthy. We've been banged up at a couple spots here, not necessarily on the injury report, but definitely banged up. And I guess the thing I would say is we're finding out what guys can do and what might be better for a different player. So that's us getting our personnel squared away, who's on the field at that time for specific plays.
You mentioned the difficulties you've had on the road. Is it anything you try to change in the preparation going into that kind of thing, or is it just maturity, as you mentioned, is it just experience of learning how to do so while it's actually happening?
I mean, if you're going to say, like, what's the most important thing, it's the experience, period. I mean, that right there is so big. We've had a couple road games, and they haven't gone the way that we want. I think that the guys understand what the standard is to win on the road. I think that we've been close to hitting that threshold a couple times, but now we just got to go do it, and I think just having a better understanding what that's like. Listen, we're probably not different than most teams, right? We have a lot of new people. Some of them are younger guys with less experience. Some of these guys have experience at other places, for sure. Now we just got to put it all together. In relationship to how we practice and what we do, just raising the standard every day is going to be the things that improve there. Like, yes, the crowd noise, yes, making sure our cadence is tight, and really what that comes down to is just the standard and everything that we do in practice.
Talk a little bit about finding explosive plays. Tell me somebody who maybe we haven't seen yet that you think could have a breakout game, maybe not on our radar.
Oh, just thinking right top of my head. I think about Dylan Wade now that he's healthy. He's a guy that can make the play. He's obviously shown that in practice more than maybe his opportunities have showed up in the game. That's more to do with his availability over the last month or so. So that's one that comes to mind. Obviously, Chris Domercan is a great example of that, stepping forward against West Virginia. So there's another one. A guy that made a big-time play for us on third down, Caleb Rollerson, he showed up in a big way, but it's not a surprise to anybody on the sideline in our staff because he's made that play in practice. There's just a handful of names. There's countless other guys that are doing a good job. It's just there's only so many reps. There's only so many opportunities in a football game, so you got to take advantage of those when they do show up.
Appreciate it. Thanks,
All right, thanks, guys.